Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the book of Job, the Sefer Iyov. We are about to study Perek Yud Zayin, that is chapter 17. And we had just read in chapter 16 the first part of Iyov's response to Eliphaz. And in his response, Iyov expressed, I guess, kind of anger and frustration and desperation, both with his friends, directed against his friends, who were now even more directly accusing him of being guilty, saying that he must deserve the punishment and he must be have something to repent for because God is just, and if he's being punished, it must be because he deserves it. And their simplistic way of interpreting what God's justice is, that what we perceive as somebody getting punished must be because he's bad, and somebody getting rewarded must be because he's good, and a very simplistic way of looking at justice. Iyov's frustration with them at not giving him any comfort and not believing him that he does not deserve this punishment, and giving him comfort to be, okay, we're here for you, as opposed to accusing him. And also his frustration with God, because, and he expressed that frustration as, God, if despite having been good, and you know that I've been good, and you know that I don't deserve this punishment, I still get punished, what's the point? Why am I here? What is the point of human existence if even when we do what we're supposed to do, live the kind of lives we're supposed to live, we could still suffer so horrifically as I'm suffering now? So those were the basic themes in 16. In 17, Iyov continues, and again, lamenting the fact that like, what's my purpose? What's the reason, right? Why am I here? Ruchi chubala. Ruchi means here, my spirit is crushed, is the best translation I could say from this one. Yamai nizachu. And here I'm going to choose the Ramban's explanation of the word nizachu. My days have been extinguished. Kivarimli. The graves are waiting for me. That's all I see is just death in front of me, and everything I was proud of, everything that I felt was good, those are just gone. My spirit is crushed. Imlo hatulim imadi. If only there weren't these mocking people, these people making fun of me next to me. Uvahamrosom tolan eini, and they who used to be my friends are now rebelling against me. Uvahamrosom, and their rebelliousness against me, meaning they're now coming after me, against me. Tolan eini. This is where I put my eyes to rest. That's how I put my eyes to rest. In other words, when I close my eyes, all I hear is their accusations against me. Simana. So Iyov, having given up on his friends who are just mocking him and criticizing him, he therefore turns to God and says, Simana, please, God, Arveni imach, you support me, you stand as my guarantor, you stand behind me. Mi hu liadi itokea, because if not you, who else will hold my hand? Again, here, Yadi Itakea, Metsudos understands it as who would shake my hand, to show that he supports me. Ki libam tzofantomi sachel, because their hearts, in other words, remember in those days, hearts were understood as the seat of wisdom. So ki libam tzofantomi sachel, you have hidden wisdom from their hearts, from my friends' hearts. They are stupid in a sense. They don't get it, right? You took. They don't have the brains to understand, right, what's really happening here, and you, God, hid brains from them. You hid wisdom from them. Al kain lo tirameim. Therefore, don't dignify them and elevate them with even considering them. They're nothing. I need you, God, because you're the only one that really knows my innocence. And here in verse 5, there's a lot of ways to understand and translate this. But I'm going to explain my way here, which is mostly based on the Mitzudos. And lechelek yagid re'im, in order to obtain a portion, right? That is why these re'im, these friends of mine, are speaking. So, meaning what this means is, and the way Mitzudos understands it, is why do they speak this way? They speak. Remember, what is it that the friends are saying? Those friends are saying that God is just, right? Right? And remember, Eov had accused them in previous chapters of saying that because they wanted to believe that they deserved the good benefits that they had, right? In other words, a person living in a good situation with health, with making a good living, and who has what he needs, tends to say, well, God is just, right? Because he gives people who deserve, who deserve good, he gives them good, which is why I'm living okay, right? As plenty of us know people in positions of power or wealth who attribute it to themselves. I must be a great guy. I must be a smart guy. I'm a successful guy, and that's why I'm getting what I deserve. So in other words, these re'im are speaking l'chelik in order to obtain a portion, or in order to, and in such a way, and therefore they speak the language of God, right? In order to flatter God. They speak the language of God and say, oh, God is just, God is wonderful. It's so easy for them to be religious when they say that. So l'chelek yagid re'im, these friends of mine are speaking because by that they obtain a portion. Ve'enei vanav, right? Tichlena. And however, the eyes of his children, tichlena, will hope for things that they will never get, because ultimately this kind of chinuch, this kind of flattery of God doesn't really work, right? Because their own children will see that it doesn't work that way. They like to live with all of this false confidence and pride in their accomplishments and think that they have it because they deserve it, but it's not something that lasts. Einei banav tichlena, his own children will see that it's something that doesn't work. V'hitzigani limshol amim, right? He set me up, right? And he over here can be understood in various ways, but if we go with the flow of the verses here, hitzigani means he, meaning the friend of mine who speaks this way, set me up as a mashal, as a parable for other nations. In other words, other nations look at me and see what happens when someone does something wrong. They suffer like this. V'tofet lifanim eheyeh, and I have become like a tofet. Tofet refers to the horrific hell that consisted of idol worship through child and human sacrifice. V'tofet was just a place of absolute suffering and awful hell. V'tofet lifanim eheyeh, and I have become like an old-fashioned tofet. This might give us a little bit of a hint as to Eov's where to place him in the time period of history. Because some place this book, as we mentioned in the beginning, to have been written in the Second Temple era. So Tofet would have been something that's in the minds of the people, a memory from Lifanim, from the old days, from the old times. So this is what I'm like, right? And he makes me into someone who everyone looks at and says, see, this is what happens when you're no good. This is what happens when you suffer. Vatecha, I'm up to verse 7 now. Vatecha mikas eini, and my eyes are weakened by my anger, right? Anger, if you think about it, when you look at someone who is acting in such a way that makes you angry, when you see them, what you see them doing makes you angry. Here, and makes you so angry that it hurts your eyes, so to speak. So my eyes are become weakened by the anger that I have against my friends. Vitzurai katzel kulam. And over here, a lot of different translations of vitzurai, and again, I'm going with Mitzudos, who says that this word tzurai is from the shoresh, the root, the Hebrew word of called yetzer machshavot libo, all of the desires of the thoughts of his heart. So vitzurai, and all of my desires, right? In other words, all the things that I've wanted in my life are all just like shadows. They're shadows because they're just poof, they're gone. All of the things that my whole life I think I wanted, they're like tzel, they're like shadows. Yashomu yisharim alzos. people who are Yisharim, right? People who are upright, people who are good, people who understand like I do, they see this life that I'm living and they are appalled by it. Yashomu, they are appalled by this, by seeing me suffer so. In the same way that I, Eov, am appalled. V'naki al chanef yisorar. And the naki, the person who is clean, the person who is clear, the person who is pure, becomes aroused with anger against the chanef, against the flatterer, meaning those friends who are guilty of flattering God by saying, oh yes, God is just, God is right, and that's why I deserve what I have. V'yochez tzadik darko. However, nonetheless, despite the fact that an innocent and proper person is appalled by what they're seeing, they still, the tzaddik, the righteous person, holds on to his path, because that's all he has, is his path of righteousness. U'tohor yodayim yosif ometz. And a person who has clean hands, like me, a person who's innocent, literally translates to clean hands, but in the person who's innocent, it still becomes stronger and stronger in his innocence. V'ulam kulam tashuvu uvo'una. However, all of them, all of you, come back. Come back and listen. Remember, he's talking to his friends. Come back and listen to me. Because remember, he still wants to bring his friends back into a circle. He still wants to teach them what he's trying to teach. However, v'loem tzavochem chacham. However, I will not, even if you come back. The way it seems apparent now, before he was trying to convince them, he's already given up on convincing them. I will not find an intelligent person, a wise person among you. So again, he's insulting their intelligence. You just don't get it. You don't understand. This insult to their intelligence is going to make their response especially angry, as we'll see in coming chapter. Yomai avru zimosai nitku morashei livavi. This is verse 11. Yomai means my days have passed. Zimosai, which means my, again, I'm using Mitsudas' translation, kasher zomam, from the words in the Torah, which is kasher zomam, like someone had planned, right? Or my thoughts, the things that I thought in my mind and planned, nitku, have become uprooted, right? Morashei levavi. And over here I'm using Rashi's understand. Morashei are the things that, the thoughts that my heart reassured me that I would want, that it would be okay. Those things that uplifted my heart, that gave strength to my heart, they're gone. They've been removed. They're just like all of my plans. My days are gone. My plans, my dreams and hope for the future have been uprooted. Those things that held my heart confident in the future are gone. Laila liyom yasimu. Night has, the day has become made like night. Or karov mipnei choshech. The light which is nearby has moved in front, before the darkness. In other words, the darkness has overtook it. Im akaveh she'ol beisi. If this is my fate, that I need to hope, my hope is that my home will end up being the depths of the grave. Bachoshech ripadeti yitzu'ai. It is in darkness that I have set up my bed. Lashachat karasi, to the pit, right, to the underworld. Karasi, I have called Aviyata, you are my father. In other words, because this is where I'm heading. This is the only place I'm going. Imi va'achosi larima, my mother, my sister are what I am calling the worms that eat me. Those are the ones that are living with me. Va'aye efo tikvasi, where is my hope? V'tikvasi mi shurena, and who is the one who can show me hope? Where can I find hope? In other words, this is what the hinting is. He's saying, this is what I was looking for from my friends, but this is not what I'm getting from my friends. So who will ever see hope for me? Badei she'ol teradna. Will it all just descend into Sheol, into the depths of the grave? Im yachad al afor nochas. Will me and all of those things together, my dreams, my thoughts, my hopes, will they all go and just rest in the dirt? This is a heart-rending plea by Eov, a plea to his friends to listen and get and understand, a plea to God to give him some sort of hope, to give him some sort of something to make meaning out of his suffering. He's asking constantly to make meaning out of his suffering. Show me, tell me. This concludes this extremely difficult to read chapter 17. In 18, we're going to read of the response of Bildad HaShuchi as he goes off in even more anger against Eov for not getting it, at least from Bildad HaShuchi's perspective, as this difficult and heartrending dialogue goes back and forth between Eov and his friends. Thank you so much for studying this together. Me looking forward to studying chapter 18 and the rest of this book together.